2 or 6. All right. We'll wait up for a second or two and make sure we're streaming. And I think we're going to be able to rock and roll here. Good stuff. And we're there. Excellent. Hey, folks, welcome to the Geocaching Podcast. We are just about ready to start here. And all I got to do is push a couple of buttons and we will be all set once Google Hangouts decides to do what it's supposed to. All right. Good stuff. Sit back, relax, get your favorite libation, your favorite snack. The Geocaching Podcast is coming at you right about now.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome to the Geocaching Podcast, episode 479, recorded live on December 14th, 2016. I'm your host, Headhardhat with
Scott Burks,
Taz 427, and
Info Ferret.
You can join our chat room and watch our live video stream, plus participate with us as we record this episode. All this and more can be found at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. Be sure to contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. And also find us on Twitter at geocachingpodcast.com/Twitter and Facebook at geocachingpodcast.com/Facebook. This episode is sponsored by our good patrons of the Geocaching Podcast. To become a contributing patron, simply click on the Patreon logo or our PayPal logo on our webpage to help keep our podcast going. From all of us at the Geocaching Podcast, we thank you. Well, folks, it is, I think winter is officially hit in North America.
Oh, yeah.
And because Scott is literally freezing his niblets off. So.
Yeah, you know when they're shutting schools in Chicago, it's cold out.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, usually if it's up to the chest on a standard kindergarten, they still let you go. But
yeah, it's supposed to be like 20 below or something tomorrow. It's supposed to be really cold out.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Chicago, winter.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do, man? You know, it definitely ain't cub weather, I'll tell you that much. That was a long time ago, huh?
Yeah.
How about that was a million years ago?
Yeah, it happened quick this year. Somebody flipped the switch and that was it.
Yeah, I know. It's
I was telling the guys earlier in before we started the show that yes, I actually had to zip my hoodie all the way walking around outside today because it was in the mid to low 50s. So it's, yeah,
because I've got you in North Carolina, I've got Taz in California. You know it's warm there, and then I've got Sarah, and it's like summertime. It's spring, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it out there?
Yeah, it's theoretically it's summer. It's 6. I just looked it up. It's 65 Fahrenheit with us.
That's cold for summer. That's not like warm summer.
Yeah,
that's
it's
almost
t-shirt
Parker
weather
down here.
I'd be pissed if it was 64 degrees in the summer.
Well, it's not real. Summer hasn't really hit, but it's apart from the wind, it's quite comfortable.
Oh, that's good.
We're trying to t-shirt, and that's no problem.
There you go.
Wow. So Taz, you've got on here. California has a rainy season.
yeah, this area has a rainy season, which is basically the very end of November through about midway through January, possibly into February. And so I'm actually in the foothills on the western side of the valley, eastern side of the valley. And so when all the weather comes through here, it starts to rain here in the foothills and then gets dropped off up in the mountains, up in the Sierras, to finish off with the ski areas. And that's where we get all our water from, that snow melt. From I'd say mid-November through mid-January, we get a fair amount of rain here.
That's not far off from
the rest of the year
in Texas.
None.
That's just like you were in Texas. You were either on fire or drowning.
there a lot more drowning in Texas. So you could drown any time of the year in Houston. I mean, you can have a tropical storm come through and drop 17 inches in a day.
Wow.
Here, it's like, no, if it's not November through January, maybe into February, you're not getting rain.
Wow.
I think it averages like the rest of the months are averages like 0.1 inches of rain.
That's the burning up part.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
No fun. Sarah, you actually get bragging rights for this time of the year before we start heckling you when you turn to winter.
Yeah, I
New
do.
Zealand,
It's nice. Yesterday was glorious. A beautiful sun, no wind. Today it's a little bit overcast, mid-60s. We've got, and it's a bit breezy, but hey, yeah, it's glorious weather here for vacationing. Usually on the days I've got to be in the office, though.
So how's that going? Are you actually semi-settled back now, or how's that working?
We're back in the we actually are back in the office today.
Right.
After a month of not being allowed anywhere near it, because when the quake hit last month, a building opposite us was discovered to be unsafe and is being pulled down right now.
Wow.
So they've pulled down enough of it that they can whack some shipping containers up across the road and let us back into our building.
It's not safe enough.
Yeah, I gather you guys had a bit of a shake last week, was it?
Well, Chad, did you have any stuff going on?
That was about 200 miles from me, so yeah, I don't even think San Francisco felt it. But it was about 100 miles offshore, 6.5 or 6 or something like that. And so just right there at the shore that's closest to it, they felt a little bit. But
isn't that tsunami kind of?
I'm not gonna. I wouldn't feel a 6 if it hit San Francisco because of the igneous rock that I'm on top of.
He's bragging again. I'm just saying.
It's all right. He'll be on an island soon enough. No worry.
Yeah, I was going to say when he hits that oceanfront property, he's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be happy when I get my oceanfront property. my property value will go up
Just a bit. Plus, you
You're
lose
gonna
the
have to start
neighbors you don't
kayaking
want.
for work.
exactly.
Jeez. All right, let's move on. We've got the podcast roundup, letting our viewers know what's going on in the geocaching podcasting community. And what's coming up this week on Geo Gearheads is they've got episode 259. They've got 3D printing 5. Chris of the Northwest. He isn't Bad Cop anymore. I've noticed.
No, he's not the bad cop anymore.
No, really.
No.
Wow, Chris
He's
of the
the
Northwest.
good cop now.
Now he sounds more like, a trapper or something.
You can't be an asshole if your name's Chris of the Northwest.
It's Chris.
You can
of
if
the
it's the bad
Northwest.
cop. The bad cop, you could be an a-hole. And
The Wicked Witch of the Northwest. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
We love you, Chris, and you know it. Daryl W4 and Shermanator 18 pick the brains of Antius and Crimson about 3D printing of geocache containers and share their experiences. Yeah, that's, they've come up with some really, really cool puzzle caches and stuff like that. I've seen different people with their ideas of 3D printing, and if you can think it will materialize. Usually,
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Not all.
Daryl finally bought one, so he's
Did
been
he really?
tinkering.
So after several hours, it'll materialize.
He's been tinkering with it and trying to create the cryptos things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that I would love. I could use a couple of those. Those would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm getting close to turning my 3D printer back on.
You're getting close.
He's officially thinking about
done
turning it on. How about that?
Actually, what's spurring me on is my RC projects, my quadcopter projects.
See, I want to get a drone.
But when I do it and start getting back into it, I'll wind up 3D printing geocaching stuff too.
Right. Sure.
Well, so you get the bug and away you go. All right, let's see. Moving on, become a patron of our show. Please consider going to geocachingpodcast.com. And if you click onto the Patreon or our PayPal areas and throw us a couple bucks each month, we would greatly appreciate it. It does cost money to do these type of podcasts, and every little penny helps. So if you wouldn't mind, please, going on to our website, check it out and throw us a couple bucks. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Sarah, is that a news item that you got up here for a link?
Yeah, I was just, while we were wittering on earlier, I just see if I could find something. And the headline is
Hang on. You gotta get the
Let him play the music.
Hang on, because otherwise it's not official. So hang on. Here we go.
Sorry, you'll get me trained eventually.
News.
And you're on.
Now it's official.
Okay. It's all about geocaching sends West Harrison students all over the world from the comfort of their classrooms. Some West Harrison students are being able to travel the world without even leaving their school. They've done this through the wonderful world of geocaching.
Wow.
And just taking out the meat of this, Kimberly Nunez, coordinator of the Talented and Gifted program, has introduced geocaching to her students after getting her own children hooked on it. And it actually gives quite a reasonable definition of what geocaching is. And she's set up activities for various students where they can practice using GPSs, learning map skills, learning about various countries, and even problem solving skills. So it's actually quite a good little read, that one.
Yeah, it is. It's actually coming out of the Missouri Valley Times. And we'll put a link in here in our show notes for people to check this out. And I just missed the spot on here for the trackables because one of the names kind of caught my eye, and it had to do with Miss Little Kitty. Was one of the trackables that they work with as well. So yeah, it is. It's a cute read. Very, very nice. And we will put a link to this into the show notes. So
do I get an extra prize for finding a story that isn't about a bomb scare?
Yes. We'll find something.
For the record, we like the bomb scare stories.
I was going to say it.
Nobody likes the feel good stories. We like the bomb
feel good stories. It's like, oh, isn't it cute? What blew up? All right, and Scott gets.
Yes.
I don't have a bumper yet for the mailbag, so.
So sing, Andy. Sing it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Better people in the past.
This is from Antaeus. He says, howdy from Texas. He said, I came across this article and thought, and this is adorable. He actually typed y'all. This is so cute. I came across this article and thought y'all might want to share this. What?
Can you do this in the accent then?
Y'all.
Might want to share this for your listeners in Utah or anyone planning on going there. No one plans on going to Utah. You just wind up in Utah. No one goes to Utah. Sounds pretty cool. You get a patch from each of the countries and a geocoin once completing the tour. That's pretty cool. I clicked on a link the other day and I read the article.
It's quite a website they've got.
It is. It's a really nice website.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes for this as well. But the title to this is Utah, and it's called Live Elevated or Life Elevated.
Look at that. You get patches for all the tours you finish, and it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah, they've got a whole. This is a very professional website that they've got put up here. And they've got the state broken up into different pieces that you can go to from, Northeast, West, Central, whatever. The Geo Tour that's involved with it, and all the different patches and how you can qualify for the coins and all the rest of it. So it's and then they actually go and give a little idea about what geocaching is.
And they created a website just for the Geo Tour.
Yeah.
And it's responsive. It's just a nice site.
Yeah, this is a really nice site. So again, we'll have the link in the show notes, and you can check that out at your convenience. Just go to.
If you ever wind up accidentally in Utah.
You know what? If they've got that much effort to go into it, I think it might be good enough to. To travel your wagon, as it were, and go out to Utah.
Sorry if I offended anybody who lives in Utah.
Those 4 people, man, you are not.
Who geocache?
Hey, I've got a cousin and her.
There you go.
Her
See?
family live in Salt Lake City, and they geocache.
Really?
Right,
You know, I
go.
just listened to 99% Invisible podcast today. Really great podcast if you don't listen to it. It's really short too. It's like 15 minutes. And it was all about Salt Lake City. And you know, Salt Lake City, all the streets work towards the main mecca of the church in
in the center.
in the center. So
Yeah.
like the streets work like 3 south north, 3 south, 6 west, you know,
Yeah.
Jersey Street, which is that's the distance it is from that church.
Wow.
That's how all the addresses work. It's really cool how they do it there. It's
Yeah, that's neat.
actually pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
All right,
a
let's
little tidbit for you of Salt Lake. That's all I know about Utah. That's it. That's all I know. It's literally all I know.
All right.
Potter's Creek.
Moving
So
on.
that's
Geocaching Podcast episode 479. We have our very, very special guest, Nic Hubbard, on where he's going to go over all the cool stuff. If you're an iOS user, this is definitely one of the apps that you want to use for geocaching, and that's Cachly. And now it's version 2, I think now, Nic, for the official.
Yep. It's been out for about a week and a half, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nic, why don't you kind of give a little intro to yourself to our viewers and listeners, and let us know how you get into geocaching and how you came across creating Cachly.
Sure. So I think it was about 10 years ago. I had never heard of geocaching, and my wife would carpool to work with this guy that was a geocacher, and he would stop on their way to work to pick up geocaches. And so my wife actually went geocaching before I had ever even heard of it.
Wow.
So actually,
I would never have the balls to be like, wait, we're just gonna pull over real quick, all right? I'm just gonna,
well, I don't think
grab
she
a
had any
can.
say in it, you know.
That's just amazing. Who would do
By the
that?
way, I'm traveling with this guy that pulls over all the time.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to
No.
interrupt you. That's just
No,
weird.
that's fine.
That's weird.
No, he's a cool guy. So one time her and I were going on a walk, and she remembered one of the caches that they had picked up. And so it was a guardrail cache. And so that ended up being my first cache. I think it was in, 2003 or something like that. And then I actually went back and logged it later on because it had been so long ago that I had found it. But that's how I started. And then years later, I had an iPhone, and I was, doing geocaching and looking into it. And I didn't like any of the apps that were available. So they were clunky, and I've worked in a lot of design, doing web stuff and mobile apps and things like that. So I didn't like the design of any of the apps that were available. And I thought that if I worked on one, maybe I could do better. So that was really just my goal, was to just make a better geocaching app than the ones that I saw out there, and to make the best one possible. So that's what I'm still trying to do, is work with users and make it as great as we can be. So
That's awesome. Now I'm going to let Scott take over the rest of this, because the interesting thing about all the hosts here, Scott and Shorty Knits are the only two that actually use iOS for their phones to go geocache, and the rest of us are all Droid people.
Yep.
So I know it's something. So I'm going to let Scott, since he is definitely one of the biggest fans for Cachly. He talks about it all the time. And
Thank you.
Deservedly so. So we're going to let Scott kind of take over the interview with Nic, and we'll go from there.
All right, well, Nic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
It's always good. And one thing great about Nic, guys, off the bat, is Nic is phenomenal about getting back to you. He will get back to you within a couple of hours at the latest, even on holidays. I was just telling these guys off the air. I emailed Nic on Thanksgiving, just not expecting, just like, hey, Nic, this. And literally like 15 minutes later, he gets back to me. I'm like, dude, it's Thanksgiving.
I was with family. Trust me. I wasn't just sitting somewhere by myself.
You don't have to answer me today, but that's what makes it phenomenal. That's what makes it such a great app, as well as just being a great app. I mean, it really is a tremendous app. But I'm a beta user, so I've been using 2.0 for a while. So I literally couldn't even tell you what's new on this thing, because I've been using it for so long. So tell us, for people who just started using 2 and from 1 to 2, what are the changes? What are the big changes in this app?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I've been using it for so long, I've almost forgotten. But I mean, I had to write up that list for when I actually released it. So the biggest feature that I was pushing, and one that I worked on the most, was offline maps. And we had offline maps before, but they were all tile based, and so you had to select kind of an area you're going to download, and then download thousands of tiles, because to make up the what you see on your screen for maps, you have to have a tile. For every zoom level, there's it could be thousands of tiles. There's trillions of tiles across the world, so it's a big, huge headache. So I wanted to work on vector maps, which basically is just data that then renders the maps out for different places. So that's what we came up with. We're using OpenStreetMaps, and we're able to go down to zoom level 21, which is really, really close. And you can download, like the state of Washington where I live, I think the download is about 65 megabytes for the whole state.
Wow.
So if you had downloaded that with tile-based maps, with all those zoom levels, it probably would have been a couple terabytes. So wow. the savings is significant.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's been asking for that, haven't they? I mean, that's a big feature, especially
it's
with
a big feature, and it was one that was a lot of work. I think I worked on it for 4 months or more. So
you beat the geocaching app. They still haven't done it yet, right?
Yeah, they're talking about doing it. I think in the new year sometime they're supposed to be releasing their offline maps.
So well played, sir. Way to beat the app.
So that was the big thing. Then there's some smaller things that we were missing, like souvenirs. We were missing when you have an offline list that's saved locally. There wasn't a way to refresh all the caches, all the logs and stuff like that. So just some simple things like that, and then a lot of things that our Cachly users had asked for. Let me go on our list here and actually look at some our other features. Oh, so updated user profile was something that I really wanted to do, because I wanted to provide a way to have you browse to like a different user or some of your friends, and then you could see all of their hides, all of their finds. You could look at their logs. You could see different caches they have found, the different types of caches they had found, the types of caches they had hidden. You could see their photos that they've uploaded. So it gives it a more like social media type feel when you're browsing those. So that was kind of fun. So those kind of features are really ones that I think make it a well-rounded app. So
yeah, that you slipped in there with the betas. I accidentally hit me for something. I'm like, oh, look at all this new stuff.
Yeah. So that was fun. I mean, it's fun for me to explore around and see other people, because before you couldn't see people's logs. You couldn't browse their photos without really digging deep and finding a log, then finding the photo they uploaded, and it was really kind of a pain. So this kind of brought everything up to a higher level. So
okay. And then one thing, let me see, did you edit? You did edit. One thing that geocaching, I don't know if they have it there or not, that geocaching app, one of you guys might be able to tell me, is that like when you're looking at who found it, I can actually in Cachly, I could actually click on the person and see their information and see their finds and all that.
Yeah, so you can go to their profile.
Right. Does the geocaching app do that?
No, they
I don't think you can.
From what I understand and I could be very wrong, we were happy that you could finally get in touch with and see the person who actually placed the cache and go that way. So there's more of a direct link that way.
Yeah, but I love this fact that I can do that I can, when I see it's got a DNF and I look and I can actually see and go, oh, they only have 6 finds, so that kind of thing. I could see all that information and everything about them right there is really nice.
Curious.
I was curious. I can't remember if I could or not, but I knew I was because you didn't make it known, and I just clicked on somebody's name. I'm like, oh, you can, Nick, you devil.
And that's been something that I think it was there from the start. So there's a lot of little hidden things like that.
Oh, so many. I know last time we talked, and it's been a while, you were going to really update the help section. Did you ever get around to doing that? Is that still has that been done?
Well, I did a lot of work on that before 2.0, and so it was updated for everything throughout the app, and then we did some updates for 2.0, but I'm working on updating it even more, and also doing localization for different languages, because I have requests for that as well. So that's still on the list to work on. There's lots to do for that. I mean, I need somebody to write the documentation for it, because it's kind of something I don't love doing. But,
just to hit to backtrack, I brought up the geocaching app on here. It'll bring up the person, but that's it. It will not bring up any profile information.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cachly for the win.
They're still so far behind.
Oh,
everybody. It's not even funny.
Did you? I was listening to the podcast of the geocaching. HQ, and Daryl kept, Daryl sending. I literally almost sent in, why don't you just hire Nick for the?
Yes.
I almost sent it in. I'm like, that's such a prick thing to do. I'm not gonna do it. But like, it's just your app honestly is so above the geocaching app. It's
Thank you.
And the geocaching app wasn't a bad app. When they first came out, it wasn't bad.
The concept's great. The new and improved just needs to be equal in functionality to the old one, the classic, and it is not there yet, and it's driving the experienced geocachers completely out of their minds.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, and if they had taken the old classic app and redesigned it, made it more iOS 7 design and things like that, people would have loved it. And I think I think that was a big mistake to stop it.
Yeah. Now, I do have to ask this because I'm looking at some of the features of Cachly. This may not necessarily, we'll jump back on to version 2, but I had to say the two things that I caught my eye on the website, and we'll have, if you go to www.cach.ly, that's where Cachly website is. The two things that caught my eye the quickest, one was showing all your DNFs. Can that feature be turned off?
We don't have a way to turn it off right now. No.
All right, so
I'll write it on my list. Actually,
I'll just have to live in self-pity. That's
wait. You mean like actually? You mean seeing the frowns on the map? I love that. I love that.
It helps you so that you can try to go turn those into smileys.
Absolutely, I love it.
No, it's just
I love it.
I don't do well with failure.
No, because it sits there and it taunts me. Is why.
Yeah, I got a
seriously, I think it's
CGO user that wants that.
That's it. And the other one that I really, really, really like is the found but not logged.
Yep.
I think that is perfect because I know so many people out there, including myself, where you'll sit there and you're on a roll, you're going through, and it's like, geez, did I remember all of them? And to have something like that, those are great features, and those are just tip of the iceberg with this.
Yeah, and those are both user requested features. So I think they were requested by the same person, but yeah, we talked about it, and that person was a beta tester, and they tested it, and we changed a few things, and then ended up releasing the app. So a lot of the features that we have and the good ideas are definitely from our users. I definitely do not think of them all.
No, and that's great that you actually listen and respond. And be like,
he's a developer and he
that's
listens
smart.
to the users. Other places should take note. I'm just saying. Cough, cough.
One question on mysteries. If you've updated the coordinates online, does it show the cache at the updated coordinates, or does it show it at the original coordinates?
It shows it. It shows it at the updated coordinates. So, and it'll also change the pin icon. It'll have a little red triangle, and then the detail screen of that cache also has a red icon, and then it actually creates it as a waypoint. So that's what geocaching.com does. So if you change the coordinates on a mystery or a multi, then it'll be a waypoint will be created for that cache, and you'll be marked with corrected coordinate. So, and then you could delete it or even add a corrected coordinate for a cache through Cachly, and then it will show up on the website as well. So it can go either way.
Right. And that I tested actually in the field. I'm like, I wonder what happens if I add the corrected coordinate in Cachly and then go back home and look online. And it did. They changed it online.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if CGO does that.
Yeah, it does.
I think it's got the option to.
Yeah, I think it
go
does.
in and input coordinates.
It's like I know I can update it there while I'm using it. I just wasn't sure if it went back up to the geocaching.com. All the other features are there, and those are features that I love about the CGO, since that's the only app that I can use.
Yeah.
But it irritates the heck out of me that when I'm using geocaching.com's website on my laptop, it doesn't show me where everything is, so it makes it difficult for me to plan my caching activities from their website.
Yeah. One of the viewers
that's the biggest gripe about it I've heard.
Yeah. One of the viewers in the chat room wrote, "My wife Kayla, aka Doc Gunny, loves all the new updates on the app. She says it's like a whole new app."
That's good. That's what we want to hear.
So, what other goodies do they have that's coming up for version 2?
Let's see here. So we had a bunch of things with offline. So we obviously with offline maps, that was a big feature. And then our offline list, which is where you're saving all your caches offline. So we did a bunch of updates with that, like I mentioned, where you can refresh the caches and you can merge lists and copy them and rename them and reorder them. And these are just all simple things that users had requested and we had never added. And then we did some other things where you could export like a TXT file of your pending logs, and then you could import those into different apps. And just a bunch of things like that. And another simple one was delete all pending logs. I had users that would go out and for the weekend and get like 40 caches and have those in Cachly, and then they would log them, I think on the website or something. They didn't use Cachly for some reason, but then they had to go through and manually delete every single one of them, which is a real pain. So simple things like, the delete all feature is something that we added. So
very nice.
Yeah, it's nice to be completely offline with your mobile device. So save power.
Yeah, so that was something we were really trying to work on, was all the offline stuff and make sure you weren't using any data. And there's a few places that if you want to use data, you can pull down and it will, like the pull to refresh feature, where you can do that on the cache detail screen, but you're never forced to. So there's a few places you can if you want.
So Nick, a lot of people ask me that are Android users. They ask me, well, how come it doesn't? I heard it doesn't have the map like CGO does. It doesn't have that live map. Why doesn't it have the live map? I said, I don't know. Must be some reason why. I'm sure why. So what is to answer the CGO people? Why doesn't it have the live map?
So the simple answer is that we're making requests to the geocaching.com API, and they allow us to make 30 requests every 60 seconds. So if we made a live map and you zoomed out and you scrolled around really quick, we would be making requests for every time you went to a different map location. We'd be loading caches for that place. And then if somebody was moving it fast, it would keep on loading and loading and loading. You'd probably max out your 30 requests. And you might have used some previously. You might have logged a cache. You might have viewed some caches. So maybe you only had 20 left, and then you were going around the map. And then we would have to stop them and say, okay, you used up all your API requests, and most users don't even know what that means in the first place, so it's annoying to them. And then we make them sit there and wait for 60 seconds until we can make more requests. And there's really no way to get around that. I've talked to geocaching.com and Groundspeak about that, and there's not really a way around it. But yeah, CGO does something differently where they use the request that the website does. But since I'm one of the API partners, there's stipulations that I can't do that kind of stuff. So yeah, there is some apps like Looking for Cache. There's an iOS app called Looking for Cache, and they have a live map. But if you try what I was saying, where you scroll around really fast, you'll get an error where it says too many requests. And so it's kind of a user usability thing that I don't want to run into, where users are complaining that error is coming up when there's really nothing I can do about it. So far, I haven't even tried to develop it just for that reason.
I would rather have a consistent map that didn't error than to have a flexibility of a type of map and have it error every once in a while. So
yeah, that's kind of what I feel too.
Yeah,
I'd say about 90% of the time when I'm in live map mode, I have live disabled and I'm just running off my GPX. It's only when I'm out in an area where I don't necessarily know I've got all the latest caches, or I'm in an area where I don't have any caches on my map, do I actually enable live view.
Yeah, and it sounds like a really cool feature, but if we developed it and for some reason we were able to get it work, I don't know how many people would actually use it. So it's a really hard thing to judge.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, especially if it takes a lot of time to build, and then wasted time that nobody's, if you find 10% of the users are actually using it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's funny. InfoFerret, Sarah, she asked a bunch of people in New Zealand what they thought of it. How about that?
I just thought it was. I don't use it, so I know nothing about it. So rather than sitting here and saying nothing at all show, I thought I'd ask people who actually found it.
She is quite the social butterfly.
And what do people say, Sarah?
Well, a whole lot of it's awesome. We love it. So much better than the official app or any other iPhone app I've used. somebody said that after using it, they found the official one quite clunky and difficult. They like the showing solve puzzles at the right place. Yes. Geocaching, for God's sake, listen and fix that one, please.
Okay, Chad, stop
amongst many other things.
Throwing her extra money to put in the puzzle casting.
And they like
in case I ever switch over to iOS.
Yeah.
They like the DNFs showing. They commented. One guy's commented about they're really impressed, even more so since version 2 came out. Liked how the compass is very accurate, but I don't know whether that's your app or the phone or the two working together. And that Nic actually responds almost immediately to all requests for improvements.
Oh, yes, so it's not just me, Nic. You everybody?
Yeah.
I thought it was just me.
Well, as I say, most of the people that have used it and commented loved it. I'm not getting into the Droid v Apple wars, but are you thinking of putting it out on a platform that the rest of us can play with?
That's something I've definitely considered, but
don't give it to him, Nic. Don't give it to him. Don't.
The thing that's difficult is they use different programming languages. So what I've built in iOS, I would have to completely rebuild for Android. So that's why a lot of places they have separate teams that build different apps. So they'll have a team that builds iOS app, and they'll have a team that builds the Android app. And I'm pretty sure that's what Groundspeak has. But right now, it would just be such a large job to, maintain what we have on iOS and then build an Android app at the same time. It's not something I could do by myself. I would have to hire out an Android developer, and I bet it would take about 5 months or something like that to even build it. So it's a big job. It's not something that is something just quick and easy that I could upload to, the Android Play Store. So.
And it would be the same thing. The same thing with CGO. It's why there's no no Apple one for CGO. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And people have asked CGO for that specifically, and CGO said, "Hey, it's open source. If you want to take the code and port it,
run with it.
Go run with it."
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, Nic, did you take a break, or are you still hard at work? Did you release 2 and say, "Okay, I'm good for a couple of weeks"?
No, I started working on 2.0.1 right away because there was bug fixes to do and some other things that I wanted to add that I had missed out on. And then I'm thinking about version 2.1 already as well. So I'm planning stuff that needs to go in that. So yeah.
So what keeps you going? How come you don't have burnout after you've been doing this straight? What keeps you motivated to keep it going?
I don't know. I enjoy programming. Programming's fun. I have a regular day job, so this is my evening weekend project, Sundays and things like that. So it's not like I'm working on it all the time. I think if I was working on it all the time, it might be easy to burn out. But I, have other things that I'm working on, and then can jump on this at other times. But yeah, I just enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with users and building in features that they request. It's just a fun thing to do. It's not anything that really feels like work. It's just something that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you code for your day job or?
I do. Yep.
Okay. See, for me that would be too much coding.
Yeah, code all day, come home and code.
But I love it. So I do different coding for my day job. I do web stuff. So.
Oh, so then you come home and do it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. All right. You could probably make a lot more money doing the phone stuff. Just FYI, I'm sure you're aware of that. But.
I do really enjoy my day job though, so I don't want to lose that. It's a whole different world.
And so via 2.1, anything interesting coming?
I was going to ask.
Coming there.
And
a time frame. Is there a time frame for that?
No, I'm not going to say a time frame because I'm not sure. Okay. One thing I really want to work on is improving the speed of our maps, because there's certain places like, for example, France. If you zoom into places in France for whatever reason, there's so much data that needs to be rendered that they're very slow. Especially those offline maps, especially if you're on an old device, so like an iPhone 5 or something, they can be very slow. So I'm really going to focus on performance of our maps. I have a bunch of testing devices. I have iPhone 4, 5, 6, 7. I have iPads. I have a bunch of things that I test on. I want to make them fast on my iPhone 5, which is one of my test devices. So that's one of my goals, is just to make them super fast on old devices. Because I don't want to just be testing on my iPhone 7 and call it quits because it's fast on my phone.
Of course, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's that.
You don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah. So there's that, and then I'm working on updating how our database works. For a lot of users are coming over from Geosphere, and they're bringing in things that I never had thought about or even accounted for. I never built Cachly to import a GPX file that has 40,000 caches. That wasn't something that ever occurred to me when I was building it. I would import GPX files that had maybe like 500. Mm-hmm. So when somebody comes in with one with 40,000, it overwhelms memory and will crash it. So, I mean, that's a known thing, and it's something I haven't fixed yet, because that's a lot of caches. That's a lot of data. That's a 90 megabyte GPX file that you're importing. So I'm going to be rebuilding the database so that we can handle that, because as some of those Geosphere users know, that app handles them really well. So it's definitely possible, but Cachly from the start, we didn't consider that, because that's using it in a different way that we didn't even think about. So we're going to adjust things so that kind of stuff works. So those are kind of performance stuff is really for what we're doing in 2.1.
And I would say, as long as it goes ahead and loads and doesn't die on you, mm-hmm. that's probably good enough, because it takes some time for with CGO to load 10,000, 20,000 cache GPX files.
Yeah.
So but I think it's going out there and doing some extra polling with APIs and stuff when you're loading some of those too.
Yeah.
Is Geosphere finally dead in terms of it won't even load anymore?
It still loads, and there's a lot of people that are still hanging on using it, and I think the developer has said that he has time and he's going to rebuild a new version. But I've never talked to a developer. He's very unresponsive when people ask questions or anything. He doesn't respond. So a lot of people are just worried that it's basically going to be dead. But I don't know. I'm happy to have people come over and use Cachly, and I appreciate their suggestions, because they also have features that they loved from that app that we don't have in Cachly that I hadn't thought of, and so they have great suggestions. So.
And do you have any idea the amount of users are currently using it?
I don't actually.
You have no idea.
The way that they're talking worldwide.
It's secret.
Wow.
It's secret. It's more than 1,000. I'll tell you that.
It's an amazing app. It really is, and much better than geocaching app. I mean, it's just,
Thank you.
I think it's purposely one of those type issues that people are debating what type of phone they want to get next because of that.
Oh yeah,
it's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're a Droid user and iOS is so big.
Yeah. CGO and Cachly. I mean, those are the two apps. I mean, I don't see geocaching app getting any better anytime soon. And it's one of the only other workable apps out there.
The major advantage that they have, though, is they control the whole system. Yeah. So, like with the current geocaching app, they use private APIs for certain things that we can't do, and that we aren't allowed to do, which is understandable, because they're the ones that control the data. They're the ones that built infrastructure. So things like the message center, we can't add that to our app, and a lot of people have asked that, but it's something that they don't want third-party developers adding to their apps,
right? Which
is kind of frustrating, because I would love to add it, but I mean that's their thing. They can decide that if they want to do that or not. So
a lot of people I've heard talk about the messages as well. So that's not going to happen. The messages.
It can't right now. It's just not allowed. There's no API for it. So there's no way that we can receive or send messages. So it's just not possible.
Well, I don't know if you may already do this or if it's possible with the iPhone, but one of the features I like about CGO is the open contact card for the individual that's on your phone. So I put if I have their actual contact information in my phone, I can give them a phone call, and so you put their caching name in the nickname field for their contact information, and then if I hit open contact, it will automatically pull up their contact on my phone. And so when I'm out in the field, it's like, oh, so-and-so did this cache and I need some help.
So you already have to have those people in your phone, obviously. It's not pulling data from geocaching.com.
No.
Okay.
Oh, so it's like adding it to it's adding the contact to the, that's interesting.
I like that.
Right. So it's like you're having phone a friend built into your phone.
I will write that down.
Excellent.
So I'll expect to see it in 2.1. Thank you.
That is great. Sarah, you got any other goodies that you have on your list, or are you done?
Oh, I'm just gonna flick back. I can't remember what. So other than the CGO people who don't use it, wanting that DNF feature, and say there's everybody that commented seemed to love it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. He's
I like to see my DNFs on my phone. So.
Yeah.
It's helpful,
I do.
Yeah.
I like it. I thought it was a great feature. Yeah.
Gives you something to strive for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see. He's responsive to users. He listens to users. He writes down when people make suggestions, and he's basically all around a great programmer that came out with a fantastic product. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you hired by Geocaching?
Right? I don't get it. Obviously, the lackeys must use it. That bullshit. I'm going to call BS if they're going to say the lackeys don't use it. I totally don't believe that.
I have never heard that, so I'm not sure.
Well, I can't say anything. So, anyways,
well, I don't know how to find anything with the official app.
The problem that would absolutely suck with this, though, Scott, is that he would go work for geocaching.com. He would do this. All the iOS users would be ippy skippy because suddenly that advances, and then it's going to take him forever to get the Android to keep up. So I can see the balance thing here already.
Okay, hold on here. For the official record, Nick.
Yes.
If Groundspeak called you and said, we want to hire you to build the new app, would you build the new app if they threw a ton of money at you?
Wow. I'm supposed to answer right now?
Yeah.
No
so they know. So they know, like, here's our answer. Nick will do it.
You know what? I live in Washington State. I'm not too far from them. So it could work out. But they are very nice guys. I've talked to them, to lots of people, even Brian. I've talked to him on the phone. They're all very nice, and the developers are very nice. So I have nothing bad to say about them.
Yes. We don't either, except for we're allowed to gripe. So that's all it is.
All right, there you go, Groundspeak. You heard it.
Contract that says you're allowed to put in any and all features that are requested.
All right. Anybody got anything else for Mr. Nick while he's going? Because then he's going to have to get the backlog of people that have already written to him in the past hour. So.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Yes. Excellent
job.
It sounds awesome.
It is. It really is a great app, and I've been a beta tester for almost a year already, and it's been just fun. This watch. I mean, like I've said, what, every 3 days? That's when the coming comes.
Not always.
More?
Not
it's
always.
Quick. I mean, a lot.
Sometimes I'll push them out one a day, but every once in a while it'll be a week or two or something like that.
It's like they really come out a lot. It's nice to see, the changes as it goes. I mean, two went through what, 27, 28 versions?
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a lot of changes, and whenever you add changes, it might introduce a bug, and it's great because we have about 85 testers, and not everybody responds to me, but there's a large amount of people that will test the new version and respond to me and say, hey, I noticed this. And, a lot of those things I didn't notice because people use the app in different ways that I don't when I'm just testing things. So having beta testers is super valuable. If I didn't have all the beta testers, I don't think it would be, I know it wouldn't be an app like it is. So,
Well, I mean, I've sent you, for all the beta testers out there, do you want us to say everything looks good or only give you the crap? Like, this isn't working, or like that, because if it's good, I don't bug you. I know you got a family.
I expect that nobody's gonna say anything if it's working great. So that's all I need. I just need the feedback and I need the bugs. That's what I need.
Yeah, I mean, I've given you a couple when I see one, and
I appreciate it.
and you fixed it.
That's good. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you work all day and code all night, do you ever get out to find any caches yourself?
He's an IT.
That is the problem. To be honest, I do not actually get out to cache that much, and I do not have that many finds. So that's my only slight embarrassment when I talk on these things is people want to know my geocaching name, and I don't have that many finds. So in my defense, I'm working on the app for other people. So
does your wife have more than you?
No, she doesn't even have her own account.
Oh, okay.
So we like to go, and my kids love it, but she hasn't gotten into it enough that she actually has her own account. No,
Mm-hmm.
so
That's
my parents are. I got my parents into it, so that's kind of a cool thing.
There you go.
Yeah, they love it. They go on vacation, and they send me pictures of them geocaching using Cachly, and so that's fun.
Did you make them pay for the app?
No, I paid for a premium account and gave them a coupon code for the app.
Good boy.
Think of all the people that you did get into geocaching because of Cachly. So I'm just
that's exciting.
Well, I think it's sort of click, pay per click. Sort of, you should have thousands of finds to your name if you get the small proportion of the ones that are logged using your app.
Pay per click.
That's true. I should.
Wow. All right, good stuff. Anybody got anything else? Nick, why don't you, while we're considering anything to wrap up with this, why don't you tell the fine folks how to they can get a hold of Cachly and also how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to just cachly.com. You don't have to worry about cach.ly, which is kind of confusing. Just go to cachly.com. You can see some of our main features. You can see where to contact us for support. We have support forums. If you have the app, there's a dedicated support option that sends an email to me. But yeah, go to our website. There's a download button as well if you don't have it, and give it a download and give it a try.
I tried. It did not do Android.
That will not work. I apologize.
Just saying.
Now, where's the Android APK file?
I've done some Android development, but I know how difficult it would be to port it from iOS to Android. It would be a huge job.
Yeah. Well, if you start now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And there'll be no iOS updates for about a year.
Okay.
Works for me.
All right. So, hey, I'll try to get it any way I can.
Right. Well, Nick, thank you so much. Thank you for Cachly. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good stuff. I want to thank Nick for stopping on by. And hey, man, anytime you've got some kind of revision or you just want to come in and shoot the stuff, let us know.
Yeah, I would love to.
You're welcome anytime, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, we want to say thanks to Chad, to Sarah, and to Scott for all the things that they do each and every week. We want to thank you, fine folks, for stopping on by and subscribing to the Geocaching Podcast. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let's wrap this puppy up. Thank you for subscribing to the Geocaching Podcast. Please be sure to join us each and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of the Geocaching Podcast right here on the Geocaching Podcast website at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. The video version of our show is available on YouTube, and the audio version is available on our home website, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and many of your favorite podcatchers. We love hearing from our viewers and listeners, so please visit us through our social media sites or contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. The Geocaching Podcast is a Headhardhat production and is produced by Andy Smith, Scott Burks, Chad Courtney, and Sarah T.S.
Sarah T.S.
Sarah T.S. is good. This show is copyright 2016 by Andrew T. Smith. All rights reserved. And clear. That's the part I gotta do. I gotta fix in the show notes here. I have an and, and it always throws me off. So I'm gonna officially make it a comma where it's supposed to be, and that should not throw me off anymore. And like I'm a grammar major, really.
So Nick, are you just doing the podcast rounds now?
I don't know. I have like 3. So I have one next week,
awesome.
and I think I have one after Christmas. So
awesome. Let me wrap up with this stuff here, and then we're gonna talk to Nick for a little bit more. So folks, have a good one. Have a safe one. Stay warm in the Northern Hemisphere. In the South, you all suck. Just saying.
Right?
And
West can suck it too. Just saying.
There you go. We'll see you next week if you still love us. and the Geocaching Podcast. Bye-bye, folks.